And welcome back to another edition of the SAP Video Newsletter, the Week 6 to Week 7 edition. That's right, 6 weeks in the books. It's crazy. I can't believe it. We're like halfway done with the regular season already. Seems like yesterday we were sitting on Laray's deck there in the backyard pulling names out of the hats, or our kids were pulling names out of the hats for the draft lottery. And now the draft, it seems like, was yesterday, which was 6 weeks ago, or just over 6 weeks ago. So that's crazy. I can't believe how fast it's gone, but here we are, halfway through. So this week 6 was definitely interesting. Of the 6 games, we saw one close game between the Funk and Tough Nuts. Tough Nuts suffering their second loss in a row as the Funk outlasted them by about 7.5 points to get their second win of the season. Very good to them. For them. We also saw 2 quarterbacks go down this week during their games. For the Models, they lost Aaron Rodgers. Looks like he's done for the year. And that's really going to hurt them. They were already struggling to score. They're 1-5 now, and it's only going to get worse. So, not sure where that next win is going to come from, but we'll keep an eye on that one because that's historic now. We're getting into historic territory there. So they better look for another win because 2 is the lowest. We've never had 1. So let's see what happens. And then the Jopatown Jaguars, who lost at the Steakhouse by about 34, lost Jameis Winston after he put up 61 yards early in the second quarter to a shoulder injury. And, big day from him. Who knows? Maybe Jaguars could have done something. At least it would have been closer because you saw what Fitzpatrick did when he came in. So who knows? Maybe that would have been Winston's points. But what can you do? So moving on to the high week this week, for the second week in a row, the Underhill account are our high-scoring team at 133.55. Interestingly enough, there were 3 teams, that hit 133 this week, separated by half a point. But Lender was the highest of those 3, and the other 2 were the Wreckers and the Waffles, so they had good weeks as well. So like I said, that's 2 weeks in a row for Lender now with the high week. That's $100 coming back to him guaranteed at the end of the year. So kudos to you, Lender, and the Underhill account. Now moving on to this week's commissions poll. The top 2 spots do remain the same. Number 1, Steakhouse, just moving along here at 5-1-0, defeating Jopatown. The Waffles with a huge victory as well. They stay at number 2 at 5-1-0. The Underhill account, after their 4th win in a row, have moved up to number 3. The Wreckers move up to number 4 after their impressive win with 133 points at 4-2-0. Tough Nuts, off their second loss in a row, after coming off an 8-game winning streak dating back to last year, have now lost 2 in a row. So we're hoping that's on another streak starting here. They dropped down to 5 from 3. Those top 5 teams are all very good, very impressive. I think any one of those teams can win come the end of the year. And, it wouldn't be shocking. I think all 5 of these teams are very good. At least they're looking at it right now. Now we drop to the next tier of teams as the North Dallas 40 jump in at 2-4-0 after a very impressive victory with 130 points. 2-4-0, they move up to number 6 from number 9. Peoples, after the sub-100 performance, moved down from 5 to 7 at 3-3-0, our only 3-3-0 team in the league. They are actually currently in the 6th spot in the playoffs. At number 8, the Funk move up after their very impressive win over the number 3 Tough Nuts squad, the upset victory. And number 9, the Thunder moved down 1 spot, now 2-4-0. They did break 100, so we're going to keep them just 1 spot below at number 9. The Bells, after their pathetic performance, 67.60 at 2-4-0 now, are not looking very good. I'm going to blame a lot of this on their non-waiver moves that they have. Basically, they haven't made waiver moves, so they didn't really get a chance to fill spots where they needed to when they were injured. Who knows what they could have done. At number 11, my Jopatown Jaguars, we were just pathetic. Granted, Winston went down. We did score 93 and change. We would have broke 100, but it's bad. And then the Models, who put up 53.9 points. That is disgustingly low. We haven't seen a score like that since, the playoffs last year with Sasso and his People Squad with 37.65. But besides that score, we really never see a score lower than 70s. 60 upper 60s is like the lowest. Like Shaw with the 67, that's probably like as low as you're usually going to see. But 53.9, and granted, Rodgers did go down, so that definitely hurt. So that's your commissions poll for week 6. Like I said, a little bit of movement there in the middle. The top 2 stayed the same. Bottom looks kind of the same there. Now, moving on. this week's Bear on Cocaine winner. There were a lot of worthy candidates there for this award. Definitely a lot of good scores. Now, as you guys know, it's not always the highest score. It's always based on like who's most impressive at their position. Was their game really close? Did they really help their team win? You know, their matchups. So, like I said earlier, there was only one close game this week, and coming out of that game, there was a very incredible performance based on their position, and that goes to
Hogan to the air. Intercepted! Too high for Duke Johnson. And it's Joseph off to the races. Nobody near him. Jonathan Joseph will walk into the end zone. Pick 6 for Houston. 2. Empty backfield for Hogan. Again, good protection. Hogan deep down the sideline looking for Duke Johnson. Picked off. Dylan Cole. Out to 24. Get another look.
And time in the pocket, you know, you've got that time because Jadeveon Clowney's on the sideline. We talk about out muscling him. So Cole's running fine right here. Gets hit. His defensive back bites up trying to get an interception.
Could have made a case for Bill O'Brien calling a timeout before that play. Instead, it's picked by Joseph again. His second of the day, and now 11 seconds to go. The Texans get the ball back.
Lead to pattern read, and you saw Coach kind of push off there at the end. Instead of pushing off, plant your foot in the ground and really make it a comeback. You try and run a deep out from the other half. That's a long throw. Joseph knows it. He's trying to tightrope and stay in bounds so he can get his...
That's right. The Houston Texans defense for the Portland Funk, who put up 27 points this week going against the Cleveland Browns. They managed 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 4 sacks, a safety, and 11 points against. Again, for 27 fantasy points, a huge day for the Texans D there for the Funk. Very, very great effort. Now moving on to the Minuteman Award winner. This again, like last week, was kind of tough. It was, you know, there were obviously some bad performances, but like I said, none of the games were close, so it's hard to really pinpoint one. So I basically just went for like what I thought was the worst performance of the week. I could have went Tyreek Hill for the Tough Nut Squad, who was in the closest game of the week. He did have 5.9 points. You know, obviously that's not good. He has not been really consistent the last few weeks at all. Hasn't really put up a big number since week 1. But I went with somebody else. C.J. Anderson for the Black Thunder. This past week he put up 1.7 points against the Giants on Sunday night on 17 rushing yards. This is more of the C.J. Anderson that we've come to know in the last few years. But to be fair to Barco and C.J., he's actually been pretty productive this year. So I'm not going to get on him too much, but he did have a really pathetic effort there for Barco. And who knows, if he had like a really outstanding game, you know, maybe the Thunder could have pulled this one out. But they did lose by about 30. They lost by about 27 points to Underhill. So you never know. He had a really big game and they could have won, but not likely. But we'll go to CJ. So that does it for this past week. Now moving on to the matchups for this week. We got some really interesting matchups. It's another division week. That's right. It is week 7 division week. And we have the always highly anticipated matchup here. What we like to call the Sword Bowl between the Underhill account and the North Dallas 40. You know, you like to see both these teams be playing well when they match up. Lender's obviously playing well on a 4-game win streak here at 4-2. The 40 jumped up to the number 6 team in the polls, but still they're only 2-4. Now, what's great about this series is that Tuna owns the all-time series at 22-6. That's right. They've won 22 out of 28 games against their old mates there, the North Dallas 40. So maybe it's time for Pasternak to start winning. So we'll see. In another game, we have the number 1 Steakhouse versus the number 4 Wreckers there in the Knox. Could be a division, you know, it could be a game to take over the division there. So that's obviously a really huge game between 2 top-rated teams. And it's going to be one of these first 2 games that's game of the week. I'm not really sure yet. But one of those 2 will definitely be it. Then we have Tough Nuts versus Peoples. Portland Funk versus Jopatown Jaguars. The Black Thunder versus the Waffles. And the Cracked Liberty Bells versus the Models. That last game there is for probably the number 12 ranking in the polls there. Whoever loses that one's probably going to jump down. So like I said, very interesting matchups there in the division week. So that'll about do it for this edition of the SAP Video Newsletter. Waiver starts tonight. Get your waiver claims in. If you need someone, don't be shy. Pick them up. Strategy's okay too. If you're looking to move up, if you don't need anyone, that's all right. Free agency, the waiver squatters, they'll be out there. So make sure if you need somebody, you squat. So until next time, I say peace.